We want to make sure that we can be proactive, that we can review these things, that we take the time to really prepare for that call, and then making sure that we choose the right time and place for that call.
We have to make sure, number one, that we as the agent are responding and not reacting. And if we feel ourselves reacting, we have to put some space.
Hi, and welcome to our blog banter for January. We are so excited to be entering into 2024, although we are still recording this in 2023, but nobody knows that, right, Therese? So, so we're excited to be in 2024 with you. Today, we're going to talk about having difficult conversations and how to explain insurance rate increases. We have a new fantastic course that is coming out this month that is so exciting. We've been working really, really hard on it. And it's all about how to explain different coverages. And so this is going to be one of those things, especially in this market right now, how we're going to explain rate increases to our clients. So we've been doing a lot of scripting and a lot of talking about this in our other blogs and our banters and doing hard market courses all year long this year, it feels like. But we have to have the skill and the ability to explain rate increases to clients, not only in this market, but in any market, because it's inevitable that there's going to be times where we're going to have difficult conversations with our clients. And so I want to wrap in some things about just being able to have difficult conversations with clients. And it's not even necessarily always about a rate increase. Sometimes it could be about a coverage maybe that they declined and now we have an uncovered claim. So, and we're going to talk a lot about rate, but these things that we're going to give you and the tools that we're going to provide you for your tool chest are going to be things that you can use anytime you have to have a difficult conversation. So I want to start out by addressing initially, what do you think prevents us, Therese, from having difficult conversations with our clients?
Fear. I think we are afraid. We're afraid we're going to say the wrong thing. We're afraid how the customer's going to react. We just have this fear all the way around having these conversations. I think the first thing we need to be very clear of, we need to be educated and we need to know the coverages. So if you are a new agent, I recommend you sitting around experienced agents and asking a lot of questions. If you don't know the answer, pass the call to someone else, but when you pass the call, go listen to the call. Go listen to what that experienced agent tells the client, because that is the best way for you to learn how to talk to the client and what to say. And I think then we also have to realize we can't use insurance jargon, the typical comp and collision and deductibles. They don't know what any of that means. So we've got to dumb down exactly what it means. A deductible is how much you would pay out of pocket before your vehicle is repaired. And a lot of people, some people are familiar with deductibles because of health insurance, but we still need to be very clear on different vocabulary in insurance. We have to make sure when we are educating the client that they understand what we're talking about. And just like a school teacher, which I was for 12 years, you're going to be talking to different people and they learn in different ways. So sometimes you could explain it one way and they don't understand. So you need to change it and explain it a different way. I always loved to explain an umbrella policy with a picture. I would draw a house, I would draw a car, I would put the liability limits next to them, and I would draw an umbrella underneath them upside down and say, okay, so if the liability falls through the auto and the home and there's not enough, then the umbrella would pick it up and it would be an upside down umbrella. So sometimes we have to draw it. Sometimes we have to explain it like that, but we have to, we have to find out what works and we have to listen first. We have to listen first. And I think this is one of the ones I was the worst at, that I have learned that I needed to zip it. I always was trying to interrupt and not just when I'm talking to clients, but when I'm talking to people, I realized I was afraid I was going to forget my thoughts. So I was throwing all my thoughts out of my mouth, almost like, you have to just let the client talk. And if you do have something to say you're afraid you're going to forget, write it down or make notes, type notes out as the client is speaking.
Yeah, great points. And so I totally agree. I think a lot of times we overthink just being able to pick up the phone and have the conversation. And it's one of those things that practice makes perfect, right? Over time and role playing with your team. And if you have to have a difficult conversation, get on a call with somebody on your team and say, hey, well, help me walk through this just so that I can prepare to have this conversation. It's going to give you the ability to pivot a lot easier during that conversation and deal with things that potentially you hadn't thought of before you picked up the phone. And a lot of times we make things a lot more difficult in our head than they really are. And so when we just pick up the phone and we're honest and we're transparent with our customer about what's going on, and we explain it to them, just like Therese said, in a way that they understand, most of the time that conversation is not going to be as hard as we made it out to be. I think we just get in our way a lot of times. The other thing is we really do have to understand, why is the rate going up? Is the rate going up because it's simply just a rate going up? Or are there other factors that are in play here? And I think a lot of times we just jump to the worst case scenario and don't really take the time to look and understand what is truly going on and how do we explain that to the client. Because it could be just rate, but it could also be that the client made some policy changes or they have some claim history that maybe they're not remembering, because
Well,
to our clients remember everything.
Well, and I think 15 years ago, when I first started in insurance, like the first 5, maybe 10 years, when somebody called in about rate or we were calling somebody about a rate increase, we were looking for accidents, violations, discounts dropping off. We were looking for those things because we were like, oh, yeah, something must have changed. And the more years have gone by, all of a sudden, we're assuming there was a rate increase. We're not digging in to see if there was an accident or a violation. We're not digging in to see if, the dwelling amount changed or if there was a claim. We're just assuming that it's rate instead of digging into it. So we're not transparent with the client because then we're just going, oh, yeah, there was a rate increase for your area. Sorry about that. Nothing I can do. And that's not the answer to tell a client. Absolutely not. We have got to look. And if you need to, make a checklist. Is there accidents? Is there violations? Is there a claim? What happened? Did a discount drop off? Could we update their plumbing, electrical, heating, and roof? So we need to have like a checklist of things we can look for to see, number one, why the policy increased, that it may not necessarily be a rate increase, that it may be a discount dropped off. And then, move forward. And if it is because of just a simple rate increase, then we need to look, how much did the state increase? How much is increasing in my area? So I have a comparison to say, well, North Carolina is where I am is one of the cheaper states to get insurance. And that's why people from like New York come down to live in North Carolina, is because the insurance to them is really cheap. Now to us, it isn't. It seems expensive to us, but when people come from different places where there's a different cost of living, it seems like it's cheaper. So, we also have to build that up. The areas that are growing, they're growing because costs are down. But guess what? When people come from a different place where the cost of living is different, cost is down where they're moving to. Guess what happens when that population grows? The costs go up. I bought my house at $165,000 and I could sell it today for $400,000, and it's only a 1,400 square foot ranch. My property taxes went up. My insurance has gone up. So we have to make that realization that as the population of places grow, costs get more expensive. The area, people are interested in the area, so it makes things more expensive. So, and they know about, since the pandemic, how building costs have gone up. So our dwelling coverages, are they accurate? Really? I thought about it. I actually just emailed my insurance guy and just said, hey, can you send me my policy? Because I need to just dig into it a little bit just to make sure I'm prepared for what's coming, because I can almost guarantee you the amount that it's going to cost to rebuild this little 1,400 square foot house has changed because building costs are different.
Yeah. We want to make sure that when we're talking to our clients that we're not being reactive, right? We really want to be proactive when we can. So, it's really important that we try and get in front of these things, because when a client has to call us, we've already diminished some of their trust in us. They might feel like maybe we don't care a whole lot. And so we want to make sure that we can be proactive, that we can review these things, that we take the time to really prepare for that call, and then making sure that we choose the right time and place for that call. So if I was calling Therese to give her news about a potential rate increase on her home, and she's in the middle of, teaching karate lessons, that's probably not the best time. Or, maybe she's taking our dogs to the vet or something like that. And I want to make sure that she's in a good mind, in a good headspace, and in a good place to receive that information as well. So we want to make sure that we're connecting with our client, that we're reading the room, that we're really understanding what is going on, and that all we can be is transparent and honest. Our role as licensed insurance professionals is to educate our client. And sometimes that education comes in the form of things that they don't want to hear. It's unfortunate that we sometimes have to deliver difficult news, but it is part of what we do. Sometimes we have to deliver difficult news. And it may be because, they declined a coverage and we have to say, you have an uncovered claim. Or in this case, the rates have gone up. So to Teresa's point, we want to make sure that we're really prepared for that call, because that way we can control that a little bit more. When the client has to call in, we become a little bit more defensive. We don't have time to prepare in the way that we would if we could be proactive. And so I think just making sure that we are very clear and concise and can deliver that information in the way that the client can understand, and then answering any questions that they might have. They might be upset or emotional at first, but we can turn that call around. So, have you ever had a time, Therese, where a client was really upset and then ended up, maybe you were able to turn the call around at the end of the call?
Yeah, and I was going to mention before I talk about dealing with an actual upset client, I was going to say phone training is also really, really important, because I was a teacher for 12 years, moved back to the United States, got into the insurance industry, and then all of a sudden I became a phone customer service person.
Mhm.
And I had no clue how to talk on the phone. So just a reminder too, any newer agents, find a greeting that works for you. It can even be kind of funny to kind of, Kelly's favorite one is, good morning. Thank you for calling the Donahue Piro agency. How can I make this the best call of your day? And just something silly like that, that will kind of take the client off guard if they are calling upset. I know it sounds silly, but it actually can really help. So just getting some kind of phone training, phone etiquette, because that's one of the things I struggled the most with. I hated talking on the phone, and then it became my job. So I had to change how I thought about it. But then when you have a customer that calls that's upset, I usually ended up with the ones that were irate. Like somebody had already talked to them and then they were irate. So, the ones that are swearing at you and, yelling all these bad words. And I'd be like, sir, please calm down. We can deal with this. We can handle this. You just have to calm down so I can walk you through what's going on. And I think sometimes the callers stay in that rage place and then they hang up. And I think then they realize, oh gosh, I shouldn't have treated her that way.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I have had to hang up on clients before because it got to the point where they were just swearing and hollering and yelling and you couldn't get them. You'd say, please calm down. Please don't use that language with me or my staff, and then you'd hang up. And of course, they'd call back and you'd have to pick up, and I don't recommend hanging up on a client ever. You need to try 2 or 3 times to get them to calm down. In specific situations, I mean, I can remember, a customer calling saying he wanted to remove his wife from the policy, that they were separated. Well, she had gotten a DUI and gotten into an accident the night before. So he was so angry with her for her behavior and what she did that he wanted to remove her from his policy. And I said, sir, you don't want to do that. Yes, I do. Take her off right now. I'm like, sir, you are liable for anything she does until you are divorced and she no longer resides in your household. So while you are separated, you need to keep her on your policy, because if not, there will be even more problems. Well, no. I said, sir, we're not going to do this. I'm not taking her off your policy. You can't do that. You are liable for everything that goes on because you are married to her. So let's just calm down and let's deal with the issue. Let's try to, handle the claim. Let's get through this. And he called me back. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I was in a really bad mood and I just wanted her off and I want her gone. And I get it. I get it. We get upset with people and, we want to make decisions when we react. So we're reacting and making decisions instead of thinking through and responding. So we have to make sure, number one, that we as the agent are responding and not reacting. And if we feel ourselves reacting, we have to put some space. We have to say, let me look into it and call you back if you have to. We say first call resolution, but if it gets to a point where you're reacting and not responding, that is when you have to say, whoa, hold on, let me look into it and let me call you back. And you need to calm yourself down. And then we have to make sure the client is responding instead of reacting. So when you feel that a client is just reacting, that's when you have to say, I understand. Let me look into it. Let me see if I can find a discount. Throw out words that will calm them down, that let them know that you're trying to find a solution. Let me find a solution for you. Let's look at what our solutions are. Let me see if I can find a couple solutions and let's talk through them and walk through what we can do.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, when you have a very extremely aggressive client, sometimes the best thing to do is just say, hey, let me look into this for you, right? Tell me the things that you'd like me to solve, right? Let them air those things out. Then give them some time off the phone. Give them that time to take a
time out.
Yeah, they need a timeout, a client timeout. And the best way to do that is to let them rattle off all the things that they need from you. You tell them, hey, let me look into that for you. And let's reconnect in, 30 minutes or an hour, right? Then give them that time to cool down, because a lot of times they're going to realize, like, okay, we're shooting the messenger here. So to Teresa's point, they're being very reactive and not really creating a thoughtful response. So I think that hopefully you guys found this information super helpful. I know we've been having a lot of rate increase conversations lately, and there's all kinds of emotion that goes around having these conversations. And so we just have to remember, I think, to kind of wrap it up, is to just understand that we're here as their guide to help them through this scenario. And we hold the solutions that they need. And so after we have that conversation, we always want to make sure that we do a post conversation follow up and wrap up, that we provide written documentation and we say to the client, we agreed that we're going to do X, Y, and Z, that we encourage the policyholder to ask us any clarifying questions after we finish that conversation, and that we monitor that for feedback and we make sure that, everything that we did is to their satisfaction. And that's how they're going to know that we are truly there to love and serve them. And we really care about them as a client. Everybody has bad days. If you weren't expecting a rate increase and you have a pretty tight monthly budget already, it might just be the thing that sent you over the edge on that day. And so we want to remember, people are going to people, and we're just there to help them through these scenarios. And so if you have some additional needs on how to have conversations or how to talk about different types of coverages, Our new content this month is going to be just for you. So go over and take a look at our school. And thank you so much, Therese, for all your insight today. I always love doing banter with you, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.